How do people get reelected? Time to do your job. People are dying on their watch. Dying on their watch.
How do people get reelected, Gavin Newsom? That's one thing I ask about you quite often. Peace, y'all. This is Senator Scott. Welcome to the Gotham, Oakland. I'm your host. Today we're going to be talking about Gavin Newsom's speech here, and we're going to take a little walk down memory lane to some of the things that I've personally done to call out this hypocrisy, the ideology of compassion rearing its ugly head where people are living in the street with their limbs rotting off and all other sorts of things that we're going to get into today. So we're going to go back to when Neighbors Together Oakland was founded, why we were founded, what was our first initiative, and I want you to consider why have people tried to demonize us as being right wing, because this is when it started. Gavin Newsom, we're going to play his full speech here in a minute, but why now, Gavin? Why now? Why now? After Los Angeles faced bankruptcy, after Oakland is pushing bankruptcy, mostly due to these homeless. Let's talk about how these homeless have driven Oakland to bankruptcy. It creates a tremendous loss of value in our real estate. The amount of retail theft in any business in the proximity of an encampment is demonstrable. The amount of fires, we average 3 vehicle fires per day in the city of Oakland and home encampments alone. In Los Angeles, the Pacific Palisades burnt down, and Altadena, which is not Los Angeles City, but county, burnt down. Los Angeles Fire Department was stretched to the very limits due to the many homeless fires and homeless adjacent fires that they deal with. Not just the frequency of those fires, but the strain on their equipment, the lack of pressure in the water hoses and the faucet, directly connected to the homeless epidemic. The billions spent on housing people who really need mental health and drug addiction issues, the grift. Now, all of a sudden, when it seems like they're ready to move on to the next phase of their insidious plan in a progressive plot to capture U.S. cities, this fifth generation warfare that has been plaguing us, that we've talked about last week, when we first introduced you to how the CCP and NGO complex are all working together. But anyway, let's go back to Gavin Newsom's speech.
Look at these encampments. They're a disgrace. They've been there years and years and years and years. I've heard that same rhetoric for years. People are dying. Kids are being born. Overdoses. In the name of compassion. There's no compassion in denying what the hell's going on in the streets and sidewalks. They need to step up. Enough of the rhetoric. I'm serious. Enough of the rhetoric. People are dying in this state. It is a disgrace. It is one of the principal reasons people are so angry. They don't trust politicians.
Yeah, I don't trust politicians. I don't trust Gavin Newsom, but it looks like he is coming back to sanity land and normal people land and betraying his soggy handlers. Is this controlled opposition? Is this finally giving them the green light to say, we didn't have to do it. The governor told us to do it and he was going to cut our funding, so we're going to have to sweep away encampments. Because ironically, the city of Oakland right now, the city of Oakland is actually cleaning up its largest homeless encampment that we have in the city, the East 12th favela, that I've actually covered in my weekly walks. You can watch them on Gotham, Oakland. Let's take a look.
Governor Newsom says no more excuses. He's encouraging cities to ramp up the crackdown on homeless encampments across the state. His office sent out a template to get local governments on the same page. It comes on the same day Oakland took action to clear out one of its biggest encampments. It covers a stretch of East 12th Street near Fruitvale Avenue in East Oakland. Last week, the city gave the dozens of the people living there their notice to clear out. And today, the city fired up its bulldozers. Lauren Toms was there as residents watched their makeshift homes get torn down. The crashing of wood and metal that once held up an encampment on East 12th Street in Oakland is a familiar sound for residents like Victoria. She's lived here for the better part of 4 years and says her encampment was one of the first to be torn down today.
They started with my area And so it's a little overwhelming, a little frustrating, but I made do. I've had this happen to me 3-4 times before, and a couple of times I got left with nothing but clothes on my back. So
she says it never gets easier to see the structures get swept away. The city estimates 79 people live in the East 12th Street encampment, though homeless advocates estimate that number is higher. City officials say 41 residents have accepted offers to move to a former Extended Stay America hotel that the city purchased for shelter. But Victoria tells me she was only able to put her name on a wait list for temporary housing.
they said that all the rooms are filled up. Like they don't have as much housing as they say they do.
The planned encampment sweeps brought in aid from across Oakland. Nita B. arrived early to prepare lumpia for those evicted. She spent years unhoused in Victoria's shoes and says today's sweeps aren't warranted because there isn't enough space for all those evicted.
Mad, frustrated, traumatized.
Her group, the Village in Oakland, provided many of the supplies now being torn down. But she expects it to be rebuilt just as quickly as it was taken down.
I've witnessed this encampment been bulldozed more than a dozen times. And every single time people come right back. So what else are they going to do?
The city warned residents of the planned sweeps, giving them 7 days to vacate. Housing, health, and animal services were on site during the sweep. Nearby business owners say it's a step in the right direction, but still it's not enough to end the encampments for good. Luke owns a tire shop just 1 block away. He didn't want to show his face, but he tells us the encampment has cost him business.
My father and I, we try to show as much love to them. We bring them food, warm clothes during the holiday time. So it's not much as them like really coming in here and causing a ruckus. It's just the very presence of all that trash and all that stuff just makes our customers feel pretty uneasy.
He says he hopes the city can do more to address the root cause of homelessness, and Victoria agrees. But for now, she waits for word on shelter.
Hopefully, whenever they're done.
Okay, so the year is 2025, the month is May. 5 years ago to the month, Neighbors Together Oakland, 4 years ago, filed a lawsuit about this. Now, I want to just go quickly back through the years. I'm not going to play these videos through full, but I think it's very important to sort of, I have a theme here. I want people to realize that this isn't the first time that we've tried to solve these issues. And we've been bringing them up for quite a while now, right? And when I brought these up, and I sounded just like Gavin Newsom did in the year 2021, I was demonized and my nonprofit called the right wing, and we were assaulted with vicious lawfare and the like. Very disheartening. So let's go through this just so you know, this is not new. Some of us have known for a while that Oakland has these problems. Here you go, Neighbors Together Oakland. And at the press conference, we're going to have to wait for this video. But anyway, I'm going to read my quote. This policy was virtually forgotten after the recent City of Oakland City Council election. They have ignored the EMP out of fear of political blowback. You can't ignore your own policy because it may upset your political base, especially at the expense of our public health and safety, our security, and our parks, homes, and businesses. Think about that. We didn't seek any money. We just wanted them to essentially follow the lawsuit. We follow the policy that they said that they would follow. I also want to share with you Neighbor Together Oakland very first video that we launched with about the encampment management policy and why we were demanding its implementation.
Neighbors Together Oakland is dedicated to building unity and preparedness in Oakland neighborhoods. Our tenets are community safety, localized agricultural systems, accessible housing, and thriving local businesses. To rebuild trust in each other, we must have hard conversations that are sorely needed between Oakland neighbors. We have to destroy the echo chambers and find solutions together. Oakland has been under years of pressure from crime, depleted infrastructure, and housing shortages, to name a few problems. The COVID-19 pandemic has only made things tougher for us, so it's urgent that we get on track toward a brighter and more sustainable future for ourselves. The United Nations describes what's happening as a humanitarian
Indeed it
crisis.
is.
Homeless encampments have grown in size and numbers, and neighbors both unhoused and housed need help. So our first initiative, Town Sweep, is about Oakland neighbors taking personal responsibility to help clean up our immediate
Personal
neighborhoods. We're
responsibility.
also seeking legal recourse against the city of Oakland, demanding that it immediately identify housing solutions and implement the encampment management plan that was unanimously approved by the city council last October.
Unanimously approved by City Council last October. You know, I want to show the video from the first. I think it's very important. I'm looking for it right here, and I'm going to find it in my history in a second. Don't you worry.
Recruited by a nonprofit organization to pressure the city to clean up homeless encampments and clear them out. The group Neighbors Together Oakland took legal action last month against what they called gross mishandling of Oakland's homeless encampment crisis and failure to follow the city's encampment management policy. That group is now teamed up with 3 other groups pushing for change.
It is up to us as a community to make sure that we not only hold our elected officials accountable.
Urban Park Cleanup used to be the Urban Park Cleanup became the Urban Compassion Project. As you may know, if you've been watching the show or if you've been following local news in Oakland, the Oakland Compassion Project in the year 2024 cleaned up more trash than public works by metric ton. They've also been out there. They cleaned up over 40 tons of trash 2 weeks ago, right next to the East 12th encampment that they're cleaning right now. And they're out there every Saturday cleaning up in the neighborhood. Tons of trash every week, receiving very little, I don't think any current assistance, but very little assistance from the city of Oakland. We've got to change that. But we've been doing this for years. For years, where has our elected officials been? So now that it's politically convenient and it's popular, we're going to see people take a hard line.
But those that are tasked with the job of making sure people get sustainable resources.
Now, according to a city audit, Oakland was not prepared to handle the huge growth of homeless encampments during the pandemic.
No shit, Sherlock. So check it out. I don't buy Gavin Newsom's timing. I think that he wants to be the president. It's one thing. That's the big one. I think that he also knows that it is no longer possible to continue the rules. But even more insidious, and this is the part that really irks me, I think that it's time to move to the next phase of the plan. And our cities are now bankrupt, as we just talked about. And so I want to go really quick to, you know what, let me go back to Neighbors Together YouTube page. There are a couple more videos I wanted to play for you. But that first one, they call it radical and right wing, right? Like, come on. Like, what's going on here? Here's Tajay, founder of Hieroglyphics, rap group, famous.
Good morning.
Lifelong
I'm
Oakland
here
resident.
because as a lifelong Oakland resident, it's been very difficult. Work with microphones and something about it. To watch the city sort of descend into what it has become. It's very, I say, disheartening to see that as it explodes as far as being this hotbed of real estate and seeing all these, you know, awesome projects come up. I'm an architectural designer in my regular job as well. See all these awesome projects spring up throughout downtown being revitalized and all that. But the direct result of that being so many people being displaced, so many people being just thrust into living conditions that are not. I mean, the UN has declared that it's the human rights violation in our little city of Oakland, California. So we have the United Nations, which is dealing with, you know, drone strikes all over the world and displacement due to war and things, looking at Oakland, California and saying, oh yeah, this ain't cool. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. You know, a couple more videos I think that are important too. Just, I want you to get a real sense of how hard and how long we've been fighting to finally hear some sanity from our elected officials. And it's really ironic because they want a pat on the back for finally realizing that the ideology of compassion is fake if it leads to people living in conditions that they're currently living in the streets of Oakland, California. It's performative. We had Jazz Hudson, a famous poet, speaking out about this. We had what's his name? Legalization of tiny homes. Adam, great guy, putting up homeless encampments and legalized tiny home villages around Oakland. All of these different perspectives and people who were there to talk about this this crisis. Go to it if you want. Go to Neighbors Together Oakland's YouTube page. We haven't updated in a while because the state shut us down because of lawfare. They didn't like a radical right-wing organization trying to grow food for people or, help rally neighbors around things that were common sense. Let's talk about how Los Angeles spent billions on homelessness. And we're going to wrap up the program with some closing thoughts.
People think of enforcement measures. We've even heard from the mayor of San Jose, no flaming conservative, no extremist, the mayor of San Jose saying, we can't get a handle on the increase in homelessness without enforcing the fact that these people shouldn't be camping and living and dying in public rights of way. And this was the whole point of the United States Supreme Court's Grants Pass decision that invalidated the Martin v. Boise decision. Don't want to get too legalese in here. But at one point, the Ninth Circuit Court made a decision that said, municipalities, you can't enforce your ordinances on sleeping and camping and lying in public for homeless people unless you've got enough shelter beds to accommodate them. And they're just not refusing to go. The United States Supreme Court vacated that decision, that standing by the Ninth Circuit Court, and said, no, it is completely within the rights of municipality to enforce ordinances, because when people go to people experiencing homelessness living on the streets and say, you can't camp there, they don't have a right to just flout the law and say, oh, yes, we can, we're homeless. There's nothing in a homeless status that protects a homeless person from the conduct that is breaking the law. Now, the advocates on the other side, they'll say, oh, well, you're criminalizing people being homeless. And I have a real challenge for that. And the challenge is this. If there are people that are legitimately experiencing homelessness and has done everything they can to get into a shelter, to get into a program, to get somewhere housed, then that is one thing. But what we're seeing on the street is not that. What we're seeing is criminal activity. What we're seeing is rampant drug addiction and drug abuse and drug trafficking. We're seeing human trafficking that is disguised in many of these homeless encampments.
Yes, all of the above. And this has been going on since they've been here. This is why they are here. So in my closing remarks, I want to give you a quick primer. If this is your first time watching Gotham Oakland, please like, comment, subscribe. If you made it to the 19-minute mark at the end and you like what you've been hearing, this is more of a reaction video one. It's not a normal type of format. But if you appreciate this show, please check our Venmo out. Please click on it. Give us a cup of coffee or four, and help keep independent journalism going. And I drink a lot of coffee. I got a espresso machine over here, and me and Red Bay Coffee get along quite well. So I do appreciate all of your support, and thank you, my listener out there who encouraged me to put up a Venmo link. I completely forget to do that. But like I've said, I'm always so busy digging, but I forgot to leave a shovel out for those who want to help me. So thank you guys for all of your help. Here are my closing remarks. Public sector labor unions, the NGO complex, homeless industrial complex, push for decriminalization of homelessness. They push to defund the police. Once you've got all of these homeless camps here and your police are defunded and they're overrun, then you bring in subsidized fentanyl. At the same time, you fund these radical tenant groups like La Raza here in Oakland, who extort small housing providers to basically make them pay exorbitant amounts of money for people to leave their homes where they've been living rent-free for 3, 4, 5 years at this point. Oakland's eviction moratorium actually never really ended. They just changed the laws and so that people can still live rent-free or use a taxpayer-appointed lawyer to extort the small housing provider who does not have similar resources or support from their government. And yes, that's directly related to what's going on here because Gavin Newsom has known about all of it. The public sector labor unions are at the top, near the top of the pyramid. As you know, the Chinese Progressive Association is at the very tip of the top. But these public sector labor unions have contributed over $25 million to Gavin Newsom, I think in the past year or so. What's going on? I don't believe you, Governor Newsom, but I'm very happy to hear you sounding exactly like I have for the last 5 years. And so, if you're going to call me a radical right-winger, you must call Gavin Newsom, the Democratic governor of California, a radical right-winger. But I don't care about that. We all know I don't go left-right. I go up-down. Either you have integrity or you don't. And Governor Newsom doesn't have an integrity. Our incoming mayor, we'll see. I don't believe she has integrity. I don't believe she's going to do anything that she said she's going to do. I don't have high hopes for Oakland right now, but I do appreciate interim mayor Kevin Jenkins for at least, I need to be said, or maybe the 5th or 6th time, but he's clearing it out. Maybe it will actually stay gone, but probably not. Here's what's really happening for those of you who don't live in Oakland's flatlands. These encampment sweeps don't mean much at all because they're just going to move to another location. It's whack-a-mole until we actually have the police present to enforce the laws on the books. Do you know how many encampments there are in Oakland at this point? How many RVs are parked illegally on our streets? How many of those RVs are involved with illicit drug dealing or human trafficking? How much money is being made by allowing these things, and how much of that money trickles up to people who are in decision-making positions to stop it? You think that Sheng Tao is the only corrupt person in the city of Oakland? You think the Duangs only had her under their thumb? I hope not. I hope that no one watching Gotham, Oakland, especially at the 23-minute mark, the whole dang old show, is that ignorant. But if you are, slap yourself. Hard. Really hard. Maybe, just maybe, you will wake the F up. Oakland, we'll see if you actually have the courage of conviction and the political will to actually end and eradicate this unchecked open-air drug market. Extended stay hotel is full. It's been full. You can't keep using this hotel. And one more thing I'll add. I know on good authority that the city of Oakland did not contact a single business in that shopping complex about bringing this encampment on over. Get ready. Remember, I give it 6 months before there's a serious issue or fire at the Extended Stay America Hotel. Why? Because they're allowing people to do drugs or whatever they want there. We don't have enough room. We don't have enough shelter. We cannot keep importing homelessness. Oakland's homeless crisis doubled during the eviction moratorium. Oakland's homeless numbers doubled during the eviction moratorium from 2021 or 2020 to 2023. Over that 3-year period, the number of unhoused people on the streets of Oakland doubled. You couldn't get evicted, so that means they had to come from outside of the city. What's going to send them back home? San Francisco, they're cracking down, they're coming to Oakland. San Jose, they're cracking down, they're coming to Oakland. So we're going to do something about these open-air drug markets? We're going to do something about this no rule of law? I really don't think so. We don't actually have the police personnel to do it. That is the entire point. The progressives are the enemy. I know, it sounds harsh, but how come in every single city that they capture, every single school board that they capture, the results are the same? Poor people suffer. Oakland Unified School District, completely overrun by the unions, union operatives. The kids can't read anymore. They can't do math. Our truancy rates are over 50%. None of the problems are being solved. There is no progress. Unless the progress that you're marking is the destruction of U.S. cities so foreign adversaries can come in and issue this grand socialist revolution, whatever these whack job think is going to happen. What's really going to happen is a genocide in the streets of America. What's really going to happen is tens of millions of people dying in the streets of America. Security is largely a superstition. It does not exist in nature. Life is either a grand adventure or nothing. Security does not exist. I'm doing my best to wake you guys up, but I need a vacation. I think the next episode of Gotham Oakland is going to need to be lighthearted. I don't know how lighthearted we can go on this show, but pray for our city. Pray that our incoming leaders finally have grown a pair. I mean, we got women there; they can't grow a pair, but maybe in Oakland you can do anything you want, right? Men can be women, and women can be men. But anyway, enough rambling. I love you guys. Peace. Take it easy. Till next time. I'll see you back here Friday.
Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here.